So we talked earlier on about what can a property lawyer do for you, and this is something that is very important in my opinion, that they should be talking to you about. They should be talking about the overall costs of the purchase so that there are no hidden surprises. So if you're buying a second-hand property, then you're going to pay transfer tax, and that varies from region to region. We have 17 autonomous regions in Spain. Buy a second-hand property in Andalusia, and that's 7%. Go up the coast to Murcia, it's 7.75%. You go on up to the Valencian region, and you're going to pay 10% for a second-hand property. Up to Catalonia, 10% as well. You jump over to the Balearics, it starts 8%, and over to Canaries, it's 6.5%. So those taxes are known. So if you're buying a property in those areas, then your property lawyer should tell you about those costs. If you're buying if you're buying a brand new property, you'll pay VAT, IVA. The rate for that in the Canaries is 7%, whereas, for example, on mainland Spain, it's 10%. And then typically, when you sign an off-plan property purchase contract, you'll pay VAT on top. So you'll pay the IVA on top. But when you get to completion, you'll pay what's known as stamp duty. So, and that will range between 1% and 2%. So sometimes those costs get lost a little bit in the transaction, and people aren't aware of them. So it's important that your property lawyer gives you those costs up front. Then there'll be the odd costs here and then of, for example, maybe applying for searches. We apply for land searches in English and Spanish, which I think is amazing that land registry does that. And that gives our clients a great deal of comfort. And I suppose, this week we had a client who lives in Spain, had all their money in a bank account in Spain, and the bank charged them hundreds of euros to take a check out of her own bank account. And that's something which I think you've got to look at very carefully. We work with two of the Spanish high street banks that have fixed fees for checks when at completion. So at completion, is quite archaic, but in your home country, completion may be by bank transfer. But here, because we go along to the notary, completion generally is by check. More and more, I say, by bank transfer, and the banks are charging considerable fees for doing that. So that's something that I think people should really look out for. And also, if you're buying a property, if you're from outside of Spain, and you coming from a country with a different currency to the euro, then it's important to talk to a currency specialist, because you can save up to 3% by using a currency specialist when you convert your home currency into euros to buy your Spanish property. And of course, on top of the transfer tax for second-hand property, the VAT at 10% or 7.5% or 7% for the Canaries, you're going to pay legal fees. Typically, legal fees will be about 1% of the property purchase price, with a minimum fee of, say, 1,600, 1,700 euros plus VAT. So plus IVA at 21%. So legal fees could be around the 2,000 euros mark. And then on top of that, if you sign a power of attorney in your home country, that's that document that authorizes your lawyer to act for you in Spain. Sign that in your home country. Those fees could be high as well. So I've come across clients we've acted for in England. A power of attorney might cost £200 to £300, whereas, for example, powers of attorney to be signed in somewhere like Holland were like 900 euros. So if you are coming to Spain and you've got the time, and then I would suggest you meet with your lawyer whilst here and you get the power of attorney signed. For example, yesterday we've got clients who are looking at buying in Cadiz. We haven't got an office there, but we arranged for them to be met at the notary, and a power of attorney has been signed, which will make the process much easier going forward. So a little bit of forward planning, and a power of attorney can be signed anywhere in Spain.